Yo, what's up guys, Mench here, and I'm bringing you guys a weekly dose of mostly spooky Mondays. But before we start, I got the inspiration from Korei Kenshin. His link will be in the description. So get some snacks, get that nice popcorn, chilling, and enjoy the video.
Here we go, boys. We're closing in. Squad A, take the left flank. Squad B, right flank. If you move fast and keep your head down,
I
you're
like
gonna
this
be
guy.
all right.
I like this guy.
I'll see you on the beat.
Oh.
Holy shit.
Oh my gosh. Oh wow. I'll see you later. Oh my gosh.
Machine gun! 10 o'clock!
I see it! What's your name?
Dave. Dave Monday.
Well, Dave,
This is the perfect time.
we're
Perfect
not
time
in
to do
Kansas
this.
anymore.
Oh my
You've got to move
gosh.
up and take that machine gun!
I'm staying here.
Listen, you stay here, you're a dead man. Get those legs moving.
I can't!
Come on!
I don't have any
Have any what?
legs.
Wait, you don't have any...
Oh my gosh, dude. Oh my
Medic!
gosh.
Medic!
It's all right. You don't need a medic. Well, you got Christ.
Factual.
But seriously,
I'll be fine.
but your legs.
You don't walk in heaven, Dave. You're sort of a mover.
I really think you need to go to a hospital.
Don't worry about me. Worry about the machine gun. I'll cover you.
Dude,
Go.
but...
Go!
Man's a savage. Oh my gosh. This claymation's amazing.
Here we go. Just pull the pin and throw it in.
Oh.
Ow, my eye.
He said, ow.
B squad, get your gear and prepare to move.
Already, Sarge? We just got here.
Look at the bright side of things, Dave. We don't have to stay in this graveyard any longer. We are to report in for another mission.
What kind of mission?
A top secret one. We're going behind enemy lines.
Ooh. Left on a cliffhanger. Now on to the next one.
When I was about 6 years old, my mom started taking my sister and I to Dr. Daniel's dental office. The dental center was located inside a giant yellow mansion that also doubled as his house.
Yellow mansion?
When my sister
What?
and I got called in, my mom followed us into the office until she was told by Dr. Daniels that parents weren't allowed to be with their children as it taught kids independence, to
Oh
which
my
my mom
gosh.
complied to. Growing up, I had bad anxiety and selective
made no
mutism, so the
sense.
moment we all separated, I cried because I was so scared. Dr. Daniels did not like the crying, so he grabbed me and put his hands over my mouth and nose
the
and shook
heck?
me and told me to stop crying and scaring the other
Oh my
kids.
gosh.
His hygienist Judy came over and told me if I continued to cry, she would spank me. All I wanted was my
Bro,
mom next to me, but I knew that if I wanted to get out, I just had to act like I was not terrified. After the first appointment, my sister and I told my mom that we were scared of the dentist, but she just took it as me being an anxious child, so we continued to see him. Each visit was just as terrifying. Every time we went to the dentist, Dr. Daniels, or the tooth man as he called himself, always had us have heavy dental procedures done. We had sealants done on several baby teeth and plenty of teeth removed, some with his fingers with no regards to pain
my
at all.
gosh.
He would leave us there with the retractor on for about 45 minutes or so before he came to work on our teeth. Sometimes he would eat his lunch while we sat there with our mouth open. Probably one of the worst pains I've ever felt in my life. There was one time in the 3rd grade I was in so much pain waiting I couldn't take it. I sat up on a chair and tried to scream and cry as loud as I could. Dr. Daniels came rushing over, angry, and he screamed at me for being a big baby and scaring the other kids. I was so sad at myself because I hadn't cried in so long. He then took me back to my dental chair and then pinned me down to the seat in a straitjacket. He put my retractors back on and said that I would have to wait longer because I caused such a scene. Afterwards, my mouth would become so swollen and filled with rashes. It hurt to talk for days. He would often tell my mother I was a difficult patient. If I so much as winced at his torture. When I was in 7th grade, I started getting braces, so I went to see an orthodontist. We stopped seeing Dr. Dan and I had a new dentist who was actually nice. I never known that getting your teeth cleaned didn't have to feel like going through a saw trap. I think my mom took us out of Dr. Dan's practice when the orthodontist looked at our dental records and saw a lot of unnecessary procedures being done on our mouths. Not long ago, I was having a conversation with a friend about our childhood fears and instantly my mind went to the tooth man. Curious, I googled him and to my happiness, the practice was shut down. Also left under his name was a Yelp page that was still up. The page was filled with numerous one-star reviews from former patients that were once abused as kids in his office. Their experiences were so close and some identical as to what I went through. A lot of the procedures Dr. Dan did were just a scam for him to collect money off our parents' insurance. And now that I think about it, he was probably so adamant of us not crying and screaming for help because he didn't want parents to hear and come and see what was going on. It's hard not to blame your parents in this situation, but the truth is this man was a swift abuser. For every bruise and swell, he would have dental explanations that would make my parents feel stupid for asking. I don't blame my mom for not believing us, and eventually she did come around. To any parents watching this, if you're ever told to not go in with your child to an appointment, something's definitely not right.
Now on to the next one. Christmas Eve horror story.
Last year on Christmas Eve, I was working late. I'm 23. I work in New York City and commute home every day on the train. Since I'm one of the younger ones in the office, I got stuck with one of the worst shifts, so I wasn't able to get home until 5 o'clock. My family had already left a whole hour earlier to go to my cousin's house, so I had to drive alone. After having a quick snack before the half-hour drive, I got back in my car and put my cousin's address into my phone. Halfway through the drive, it started snowing. I got to my cousin's house around 6 o'clock. It was snowing heavily by this point, and I just made it in time to catch everyone starting dinner. I brought all of my gifts inside and cheerfully said hey to everyone. I stayed until around 11 o'clock. The rest of my family left a little sooner. I stayed an extra half hour or so just to hang out before leaving myself.
Okay.
By the time I
Family
was
man.
leaving, the ground had accumulated at least 2 feet of snow, and it wasn't even done snowing. The drive home was nightmarish. The roads were hardly even plowed,
Why would you
and I had to drive under
if
20
you know
miles per
that?
hour on most roads. The roads were completely dead at this point though, most likely because everyone was smart enough to go home
This guy
before the
is
snow
silly.
accumulated. Eventually I turned onto a main road that I'm sure would usually be bustling, but at 11:15 on Christmas Eve night, there wasn't a single car or a single light from a store. It was a ghost town. But then I did notice the flashing taillights of one car.
Oh my
It was parked on the
gosh.
side of the road,
And you're
and the
driving
smoke
slow.
seeping out from its exhaust with the taillights giving it a red tint. As I got closer, I realized there was somebody next to the car waving their hand in the air. I assumed something was wrong and they needed help. So, me being the good Samaritan I am, I pulled up behind the car. When I opened my door, the guy approached me immediately, barely even giving me time to step out. He was an average-sized man, probably 5'10",
Looks like
180
Santa.
pounds. He spoke in a very demanding voice,
Like
asking me if I know
ghetto
anything about
Santa.
fixing an engine. I told him I didn't know much about cars. The guy responded very quickly to everything I said. He told me it's fine. He went inside of his car for a second, popped open his trunk, came back out and told me to just wait by the trunk for a second.
Oh
I had
my
no
gosh.
idea what he wanted me to do. I was really confused. He walked over to the front of his car, and I heard him open the hood. I couldn't see anything he was doing since the trunk was blocking my view, and the loud wind of the snowstorm overpowered any small noises he might have been making. I put my hand on the back of the car and leaned my body in anticipation, when suddenly I heard 3 or 4 quick and aggressive footsteps in the snow behind me before I was pushed into the trunk.
Oh.
The man tried to
my
close the trunk on me, but I kicked my feet up in
He
resistance
tried to
and held
lean
it
on
up.
it. Oh, that's so
I was able to
dumb.
overpower him and kick the trunk open completely. As I took advantage of the few seconds I had to get out of the trunk, I took out my keys. He tried to grab me now, and I dug my house key right into his neck. He fell to his knees and his scream echoed down the deserted street. I was in my car and halfway down the road before he could even get up from his knees.
What the heck?
A little further down, I called 911 and reported the guy. I came back in 10 minutes to find blue and red lights illuminating the windows of the deserted stores. The police held him until the ambulance arrived for him. I watched the whole thing, and nothing ever felt better in my life. I got home safely half an hour
Wow.
later and told my family everything. I was still very shaken that Christmas, and this remains possibly the most horrific thing I've ever experienced.
That's crazy. Nice and chill too. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. And we'll see you all next week. Peace.